My people, what's good? 100 years of wealth tapping in, man. I hope you guys are all doing well. If you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. Let's go ahead and dive into it. So I'm just cruising right now. You know, my wife hit me up, told me that we forgot our son's blanket this morning for nap time. And I'm gonna go ahead and drop it off. So I'm cruising up Crenshaw Boulevard right now in the lovely city of LA. We got some great weather today. But are we in a soft era in the NBA? Are we? Are we in a weaker era right now? Are we done with this current era? What's the reality around that, right? So I think that, you know, for a moment there, I was kind of feeling like the current NBA had softer defense, right? That's what I was thinking for a hot moment, just a moment. And I think that was because I was watching Lebron James, and it just seemed like on both sides, right? It seemed like he plays very passive defense. Maybe that's because he's in the later parts of his career. But on the other end, it seems like a lot of times people don't apply the physicality it would take to, you know, play him and hold him back from scoring, right? So, you know, it looks like if you're only watching that microcosm of the league, then it looks like people are playing soft defense. A lot of times you see him, he has like a full clear pathway to a slam dunk. You know what I mean? Like, and it's like, if you're not going to put physicality on LeBron James, then what are you going to do? Because my dude is 260, 6'9", right? So that's where I think that sometimes I'm watching that and I'm like, oh, the league's softened up, the defense is kind of weak, etc. But I've really tapped in with a lot of games recently and really tried to pay attention to the playoffs and what's been going on throughout the league. And I have noticed that, they're savages out there. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people are playing really hard defense. I think depending on what you're paying attention to at any given moment, you might catch some low lights. But overall, I feel like the talent's there. I feel like the athleticism is obviously there. And I feel like these boys are young, aggressive dogs. You know, I was just talking to the homie yesterday, and what I noticed in these playoffs with, Anthony Edwards being so aggressive and having such like a combative mind and approach to like, his play against Kevin Durant, I really felt like that old school aggression, kind of like, you're not my friend during these playoffs, during these games, you're my enemy mentality is back. And of course, we know the reality of it. They're going to get along off the court and be friends, but for the show of it all and for the intensity of it all, it is nice to see people taking that approach. So I would say that this generation is, this era is not soft. I don't think that they're weak on defense. I see these dudes D'ing up and really putting in that full effort, and I greatly appreciate it. And I think like Anthony Edwards is a great example of not, like respecting your legends and respecting the people that came before you, but taking them on like Kobe would have took on Jordan, so that's dope. And one difference I do see between this current generation and maybe the previous one, just like the LeBron KD era, those dudes were all trying to be friends, it seemed. You know what I mean? Like KD, Chris Paul, all of them like linking up, and it just seemed like the vibe on the court is different. It's a lot of high fives and hugs after the game, no matter who lost. While now I'm seeing dudes walk off the court a little angry, right? And trust me, I get it. We're not trying to have angry people out there. But in the sports sense, it is good. It's fun. It's entertaining. And, it shows that competitiveness, and it makes the whole vibe more serious around the sport, and it makes it more exciting when people pull off wins and things like that. So I like that. I like that competitive spirit. I like the way that Denver approaches it. And I look forward to seeing what else happens in this playoffs. But I do feel like, even though there was a lot of talent in the LeBron era, KD era, Durant era, I feel like there was a lot of talent there. I also feel like maybe Russell Westbrook was one of the, I don't want to say the only, but one of the few stars that really had that aggression and carried it with them all the time, And, a lot of these dudes, like, went to team up with other dudes. KD going to team up with Steph Curry after they beat him the previous year, as opposed to going back, training harder, practicing harder with your team, working with the front office to see if there's any shifts that can be made. Just jumping ship to join that team. That has to be one of the weakest moves of a superstar, and definitely to me softened the era a little bit, and kind of watered down his championships, even though you got to give credit where credit's due. He was like one of the best players on that team when they won. I still think, in the sense of just the sport competitiveness, aggressiveness that we all like to see, when you water down the competition by joining your competition, it's a little trash, right? Like, I like how Giannis seemingly wants to stay in Milwaukee, how Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Thompson seem happy in Minnesota, and they're not rushing to some big market, I think you're going to see more of that, and probably because these dudes are getting paid without having to run to a big market, and they have a big following and a big, market share without having to be in these big cities. So things change, things are different. You got to give credit to all that, not just, one factor. But I'll say overall, I think the NBA is in good hands. I think basketball is in good hands. I like the way Anthony Edwards is. What I don't like is when people want to quickly compare him to Michael Jordan and all that. He has a great fadeaway. The reason why Michael Jordan is who he is not because of a fadeaway, right? It's not because of a couple of shots. It's because of the level that he did it at, the consistency that he did it at, and then achieving the ultimate goal, which is the actual championship, right? So not to say you can never make the comparison and shit like that. I just think people want to do it so quickly because they see someone ball out for a little while. Props to them, but come on, let's just slow it down. But anyways, hey, like and subscribe. I appreciate you guys. Have a great day. 100 years of wealth. Tap in.